The reason this is so simple, in the last Idaho legislature, 3 gun bills appeared before the legislators. 2 of those bills were HB 89 and HB 301. HB 89 had the right stuff, and HB 301 was filled with the wrong stuff. Unfortunately, HB 89 never made it out of committee and was never voted on by either the House or the Senate. Instead, the legislators passed House Bill 301, and House Bill 301 was plagued with bad language and loopholes. Because of this loophole, bad guys get to carry concealed. This must be fixed. Our intent is for all gathered here today is for Idaho to make it legal for law-abiding citizens to carry a handgun, firearm, or other weapon concealed or open without an applicable permit or license. Felons are not law-abiding citizens and should not be included in the language of the legislation. I was the only elected sheriff in a state who came out publicly and voiced my support for HB 89. Several others did work behind the scenes, and there are many sheriffs like myself who support constitutional carry and have been fighting for you behind the scenes. Madison County Sheriff Roy Klingler presented HB 89 to the Idaho Sheriff's Association last year and garnered support for the constitutional carry issue. Many other sheriffs in Idaho are also on board with all of us standing here today. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Hear, hear.
2016 could be historical for Idahoans if we all work together to ensure our Second Amendment rights are aligned with Idaho law. You have my commitment that I will work tirelessly to accomplish this in our great state. May God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. And now, it is my great honor to introduce Heather Scott. Heather Scott is the Idaho State Representative from District 1, which is Bonner and Boundary counties. This is her first term in office, and she's making North Idaho's voice heard loud and clear. Now, the 2015 Legislator of the Year Award. Go ahead, let's clap for Heather. Heather received the 2015 Legislator of the Year Award from the Republican Liberty Caucus and was the gal who recently stood up for the veterans' gun rights against the feds in Priest River.
Nice.
I'm happy to introduce my state representative and good friend, Heather Scott.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a nice intro. Thank you all for coming. I think I might lower this real quick. What's that? That's perfect. Thank you all for showing up and showing your support for this Second Amendment Alliance and our Second Amendment and constitutional carry.
You're welcome.
Representative Ron Nate from District 34 and myself are the legislators that have stepped up to carry this bill this year. It's because we believe in personal liberties and freedoms, and we believe that the majority of people want to protect and strengthen our Second Amendment rights. This is not a party issue. This is an American issue. Last year I ran this similar bill, and House leadership flat out ignored it. The Republican I like that, boo. Go ahead and say it. Boo. That's what I said, boo. The establishment and the committee chairman, they gave excuse after excuse on why it couldn't come out of committee. And they wouldn't allow it to be heard until the end of session. And I learned a lot in my first term. And I'm ready this year. The one thing I did learn too, is career politicians, they don't like to go against their constituents on an election year. And I just found out it's another election year this year, 2016. So I'm hoping you guys can help me to apply the power you have as citizens and the pressure on your legislators to get this passed this year. Politicians need to be more concerned about their constituents than they are the establishment, their peers, and leadership. Thanks. Currently in Idaho, any law-abiding citizen can carry a gun anywhere as long as it's visible to the public. This is called open carry. I'm hearing some feedback, I'm sorry. I'm gonna move. Do you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
I think I'm too close. Okay, currently, like I said, law-abiding citizens can carry a gun anywhere without a permit as long as it's visible. There's a few exceptions. You can't do it in a school or at a federal building. And then private property owners, if they have a gun sign up that says we don't like guns on our premises, they can ask you to leave. And if you don't leave, they can file trespassing charges. But you cannot get in trouble for open carry right now in Idaho.
Here, here. Yeah.
That's a good thing. Some states aren't like that. So if one wants to carry concealed in Idaho, the law gets a little more complex. Law-abiding citizens who want to carry a gun under their jacket, in their glove box, or on a purse, they must first get their concealed weapons permit or their license. To get that license, you must sign up for a class, pay for the class, go sit through the class, drive to the sheriff's office, fill out an application, get fingerprinted, and then you've got to wait several weeks to receive that permit in the mail. And once you get it, you have to carry it with you everywhere, even in a bathing suit, if you have one. So, to me, this sounds a little bit like what the founders were talking about when they said, shall not be infringed upon. This is infringement.
That's infringement.
The interesting thing is, it's legal in Idaho to carry without a permit concealed if you become an elected official. Did you know that? Funny how that slipped right through the legislator. It's reason in itself that all you patriots out there should at least consider running for an elected office. That's not funny. That's not funny. School board, any elected official, even precinct committeeman. So last year during the session, the legislators were called out on this special privilege. To distract from the issue, they passed another gun bill which actually complicated concealed carry in Idaho. The law now states that law-abiding citizens can carry concealed weapons without a permit as long as they're outside of city limits. So when you're in, you have to have your permit. When you're out, you're okay. So if you're driving from Boise up to Sandpoint, you better be aware of this law. And that gun in your glove box will go from legal to illegal over 10 times if you get pulled over. It's very confusing to citizens, and it's why we need this legislation. What this new bill will do is stop this confusion inside and outside of city limits, and it will make concealed carry legal for all law-abiding citizens, assuring them that their gun rights will not be infringed upon. Will not do is it will not change the current laws of carrying around schools or federal buildings. This bill will not get rid of the permit process. It just makes it voluntary. You can still get that permit for reciprocity in other states, but it's just voluntary to have that permit on you when you're in Idaho. This bill, no matter what the media tells you, just look into the facts. This bill will not allow felons to carry or possess guns concealed. This bill will not prevent you from buying a permit or taking a gun training. And I encourage everyone to get as much training as you can do and afford, because we all need trained. This bill will also not force you to carry concealed. You can always open carry. Why don't you stand up? Let's see yours. This lady right here, she impressed me. She said, I don't like to shoot that much, but I just like the right that I can carry it. So the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance Democrats, along with constitutional lawyers and the Idaho Association of Sheriffs and other pro-gun groups across the state and legislators are working very hard on this legislation this year. We're trying to get language in there that everyone's happy with and doesn't take away our rights. And I will make every effort this bill gets passed this year.
All right.
Thank you. I want to leave you with a few thoughts. Our rights come from God, our Creator.
Amen.
They do not come from our government.
Nope.
And the government is there to protect those rights, and we need to remember that. It's a very deep statement, and it's where our rights come from. We do not need a permit to exercise our First Amendment right, or to speak or to assemble. But why are we allowing our government to force us to get a permit or to exercise our Second Amendment right? There are now 7 states, as Greg has mentioned, including the big government state of Maine, that has passed constitutional carry in their states. I'm not sure where Idaho is. I don't know if they're waiting to be number 21 or 32 or who knows, maybe not at all. And I'm tired of Idaho always following and never leading, and it's time we step up and we push this. The power to make this happen lies in you, the citizen. Legislators, your elected officials work for you. You're the boss. Your job is to drive legislation process and make your voices heard. I urge you, no matter what district you're from, to call your sheriff, call your 2 representatives and your 1 senator, and politely direct them of your demands. And encourage them to support this legislation. We will only win this if the citizens step up, use facts, maintain respect, and be persistent. And your legislators may need educated on some of the issues. It's a full-time job, and they're not going to turn down willingness for you to help them write bills. Being as it's an election year, we all need to be weary that some watered-down version of a gun bill will slip through and not our constitutional carry. Beware of that. Beware of the messaging you'll see in the media, because it is an election year and they'll want a feel-good bill so they all look pro-guns, and it may not even be pro-gun. So, which brings me to my next, to my list. I'm going to read the legislators that have committed to support constitutional carry from this area. This isn't all the legislators in this state. Fortunately, North Idaho, we're doing good up here. We've got like-minded citizens. So this is the legislators from districts 1 through 4 and district 7, which is all in this area. I have a map over there. If you don't know your district, please stop over before you leave and figure out who your representatives are, who your senator is, so you need to know that information. Senator Mary Souza, Senator Cheryl Nuxel, Senator Steve Vick, Senator Bob Nannone, Representative Heather Scott, Representative Sage Dixon, Representative Ron Mendive, Representative Vito Barbieri, Representative Eric Redmond, Representative Kathy Sims, Representative Shannon McMillan, and Representative Paul Shepard. I know this is a really important bill, and I look forward to the challenges of moving forward this year. Thanks for coming and support, and always remember, all power is inherent in the people, and until you start recognizing the power you have and start wielding that power in government, the government and career politicians will continue to drive the citizens. I'm sorry. Let me just start over, because this is really important. I want to make sure you get it. Always remember, all power is inherent in the people, and until you start recognizing that power and wielding that power, government and career politicians will continue to drive the system. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Now I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, Representative Matt Shea. I think a few people here might know Spokane Valley, the capital of free Washington. He's a constitutional attorney in private practice. Don't hold that against him. And he's a veteran of Iraq and Bosnia, both.
All right.
He was just awarded a great honor, the National Security Eagle Award by ACT America, the largest national security organization in the country. Matt is a personal friend and a great patriot. Let's give him a big welcome.
One more time for Heather Scott. You guys are blessed to have a representative that's willing to fight for you. You really are. Well, I always start off every speech by saying that our hope is not in man, our hope is in Jesus Christ. Amen? So, I love this byline the other day when the president of China came to visit the White House. The byline was this, that the most powerful communist in the world met with the president of China. I think that really sums up where we're at today, doesn't it? All right, how many veterans we got out there? Raise your hand. Let's give them a round of applause and we'll thank you for your service. So we face lawlessness today in our country. Let's just sum it up and call it what it is. We face lawlessness today. The right to life is being assailed by Planned Parenthood. You have people defending ripping apart little babies in the womb. My goodness, where are we at in this country?
Horrible.
Then we have the right to liberty being completely assailed, especially in Washington State, where we have Barronelle Stutzman down in Tri-Cities who just wanted to say, I don't want to participate in that homosexual wedding ceremony, and she gets sued by the state of Washington. Then we have a football coach in Bremerton who just wants to say a prayer on the 50-yard line after a game. And the school uses all of its resources to investigate him. You know, never mind the gang problems and the drug problems. We've got to investigate the coach praying on the 50-yard line. You know what? I think it would be better if they all got out there and prayed on the 50-yard line after every game. And then we've got the attack on private property rights. I know you all know about that here in Idaho. It is amazing what's happening. And then last but not least, we have the ability to defend. The God-given unalienable right to bear arms being attacked almost everywhere we go. In Washington State, they brought in millions of dollars and passed this horrible universal background check bill. And nobody said anything about the fact that when a veteran goes to check out a firearm from the VFW or the American Legion to do a funeral, they now have to do a background check on each other? Really? Shall not be infringed. And in Washington's Constitution, and I'm sure Idaho's, shall not be impaired. I think they mean what they say. Those words mean what they say. And the fact that we're trying to even have a discussion about exercising a God-given unalienable right is ridiculous to me. And then on top of that, you guys have a constitutional sheriff up there in Bonner County. In Spokane County, we've got a sheriff who says that, and same with the Southern Poverty Law Center, my goodness, they say that constitutionalists are a greater threat to America than ISIS. And then our sheriff sits down with the leadership of the Council of American Islamic Relations, which was an unindicted co-conspirator with the Muslim Brotherhood and the Holy Land Foundation trial. This world is upside down. And Christians are being specifically targeted like we saw down in Oregon. Specifically targeted for your faith. If you were literally asked, are you a Christian, and you knew that was the last thing that you would say, the answer to that question, would you do it? I think most of us probably would.
You bet.
I would rather not get there. I would rather have a firearm to answer the question with the firearm. And if that doesn't make sense, because there's some Christians out there that say we should not have guns. Why don't you go talk to the Christians that are left in Syria and Iraq and Northern Africa and see what they have to say about that issue?
The apostles carried swords.
So, you know, you can carry a sword too if you want to. I like guns, so it's a little standoff. You don't build a surveillance state unless you intend to use it. You don't grow the size of bureaucracy unless you intend to use it. You don't threaten the right to bear arms like happened up in